Hello everyone, I am Vasiliki Kakosimou. I work for the Greek Asylum Service and also I am a PhD candidate at Harkopi University of Athens. Together we are going to see migrant precarity in the Greek labor market. Also, the role of the legal status of migrants in their precariousness. We can see different terms like precariousness, precarity, insecurity, and precaria. Now, precaria refers to those who don't have security in their job, in their representation, skill reproduction, employment, income, and in general in their employment status. Now, about precariousness. Precariousness is a status. We can find precariousness at different sectors of work, especially domestic services, construction services, and agriculture are certain sectors where migrants suffer from precariousness. Also, there are certain groups that suffer from precariousness. We can see that young people, women, older people, or undocumented migrants can find themselves in a state of precariousness. Now, why migrants find themselves in a situation of precarious work? Through bibliography and research, we can see that migrants that don't speak the language of the host country are very easy to find themselves in precarious work. Also, if they don't know their rights, they cannot support themselves and may suffer from precarious conditions in work. Also, migrants that are unskilled or low-skilled, that are not qualified, can find themselves in precarious conditions of work. Also, the legislation plays a very important role in their work conditions. For example, labor legislation or migration policies can play a very important role in the conditions of their work. Through research, it has been proved that the level of the payment, the social protection rights, and the qualification can play a very, very important role in the work conditions of migrants. And also, we can see different levels of discrimination between migrants and natives. The discrimination that migrants suffer from may play a very important role for their precariousness. Now, about the asylum system, it has been proved that throughout asylum system, we can find migrants, applicants that suffer from precariousness. The thesis of my PhD is that the different stages of the asylum system may show different stages of precariousness between migrants. According to the stage of the asylum procedure they find themselves, if they have papers or not, may play a very important role to their work conditions. Now, when migrants are at the first stage of the asylum procedure, are called asylum seekers. They have certain rights and they have legalized papers. Now, after their case is processed, they may be refused or accepted. Now, when their case is accepted, they are so-called refugees or beneficiaries of international protection, and they have certain rights to stay or to travel freely throughout Europe. Or they can bring members of their family from their country of origin into Greece. At that stage, at the end of the asylum procedure, the asylum seekers that have been refused are deprived of their rights of stay, work, social protection, etc., and they should leave the country. Now, those migrants that are refused as asylum seekers, they do not have any legalized papers for their stay in Greece, can find themselves in extreme status of precariousness. Now, between forced migration and forced labor in Greece, there's an intersection where migrants can find themselves in precariousness. We can see that when they enter Greece and they seek asylum, they're in a certain status of precariousness. They have not applied for asylum yet, but they ask for it. Also, irregular migrants are migrants that don't have any papers at all. Either why they have not applied for asylum or their asylum case has been refused and they should leave the country, but they are still here. Also, trafficked migrants. This group is very vulnerable. It's a reason for to be granted asylum, but also they form a very sensitive group to be re-trafficked again. So forced labor or forced migration may be an intersection that can form under certain circumstances a state of precariousness. Now, for irregular migrants and trafficked persons, the asylum system can offer them a form of protection and a way out of forced labor. Through applying for asylum, they can have papers and they can have access to health system, to social protection rights. So by applying for asylum, they can work legally and they can have a way out of forced labor. So asylum system seems to be a solution for their insecurity status. Now, at the end of the asylum procedure, if their case is refused, they are left destitute. And it's at this stage, at this certain stage, that they try to find a way to stay in Greece at no matter what cost this may have in their life. They can't go back into their countries. So they will stay in Greece at any cost, even though they cannot work legally. They will accept any job that may be offered to them. And desperation show higher adjustment in the environment of crisis, offering higher work flexibility. It seems that migrants experiencing higher insecurity and desperation may accept uninsured employment, lower payments, and poorer working environments. But those migrants who came earlier have obtained legal status. They may show a comparatively higher occupational mobility. Those who have obtained higher incomes and expanded social networks appear to be less precarious and more resilient to the local labor market fluctuations and the implications of crisis. The struggle for survival is accompanied by more precarious working and living conditions. It's a never-ending circle. Now, those factors may affect the precariousness of migrant labor in Greece. According to bibliography and research, migrants with legal status of stay in Greece and positive network interactions are expected to live in less precarious working conditions. That is the thesis of my PhD. And it can be proved through interviews with local migrants of different profiles. Relevant information can be gathered through bibliographic research, through questionnaires with public officials, and statistical analysis. Now, thank you for your attention. I hope that you enjoyed my presentation.